Hello and welcome to this Networkshop 2024 preview interview with our day two keynote, Gemma. Thanks, Gemma, for joining us today. How are you?
I'm really good, thank you, Joe.
Brilliant. We just want to kind of get a bit of an idea of your session ahead of this year's event, kind of some of the things you're looking forward to and some of the things you're looking to kind of discuss at this year's event. So I appreciate you've not been to a Networkshop before, but are you looking forward to this year's event?
Absolutely, yeah. I'm looking forward to finding out a little bit more about what the workshop's going to be bringing. I've heard that there's going to be the topic of empowerment, which I'm also going to be speaking to. So, really looking forward to meeting other people within the leadership, education, and tech space to discuss what empowerment means to them and what the trends that they're seeing in just in the workplace.
Exactly, brilliant. Thank you. You're obviously our day two kind of opening keynote speaker. So, what kind of key areas are you looking to cover within your session?
So, my talk is on empowering people through the leadership stances that we take. And it takes the idea of casting the shadow of your leadership stance. And what we don't often know as leaders is the kind of shapes that we make in our leadership position actually has an impact on the people around us. So it almost casts a shadow which the organization feel, but maybe you don't see. And so my topic is really exploring the different stances that you might take as a leader and how that's impacting the people around you, whether that's leading them to feeling really empowered or actually massively disempowered. What you'll be seeing as a leader, however, is something different. So you might actually just be really experiencing some frustration with the people that are working around you. And you won't necessarily know from your behaviour is driving that.
It's discussed there, kind of empowerment, then a key kind of topic. Something I'm sure our delegates are going to be very interested in to learn, and especially around kind of how they work within their teams in that way. Empowerment as an idea and a concept, kind of what does that mean to you, and what kind of simple ways can leaders and managers empower others?
Yeah. So I think what is empowerment is a really great question. For me, it's got a really clear definition. It's the idea that somebody can think, feel, and act for themselves. And so understanding that as a concept is really key to understanding where you would be able to empower others. If, as a leader, you're kind of taking over any of those areas, so you're doing somebody else's thinking for them, you're telling them how they need to feel, or actually you're just taking over and doing the job for them, those are all areas that start to actually become disempowering to the people around you. And it's actually quite common, especially when you're new as a leader. A new leader has kind of got to that position because they have got really good at it. And so they're really good at doing the thinking and they're really, really good at doing the job. So part of making a change in your leadership stance is actually understanding that other people might be able to do that thinking and either acting for themselves, and they may not do it in the same way that you were going to.
Discussed about kind of people who might be new to leadership, or even if we think of kind of existing leaders who have been practicing this for a number of years, how do leaders' working styles, their attitudes, their behaviours kind of impact on others, maybe within their own teams?
Yeah, so during the talk, we're going to cover a little bit around some transactional analysis, and we're going to go into the drama triangle. So we're going to understand what what place you may take on the drama triangle. So for those not familiar with it, there is the role of the rescuer, which is like, let me help you with that. There's the role of the persecutor, let me tell you off for doing that wrong. And there's also the role of the victim, help me, I'm not okay, and I need somebody to do something for me or tell me off. each of those roles actually invites the other, which is quite exciting. And so we're going to be taking apart that to see whereabouts on that drama triangle leaders may find themselves sitting, what they're secretly being invited into, and also, most key of all, how to escape that and how to kind of move into healthy behaviours where nobody is left on the drama triangle.
You kind of painted quite a nice picture in my mind there of the triangle. I'm going to kind of move on to your connection with kind of visualization. Um, from my research, I can see you've a bit of a self-acquainted alter ego of the Doodle Witch, as you've narrowed yourself. But how would visual tools and techniques help people? And can you tell us a bit around your alter ego?
Yeah, so as you can probably tell, when I talk, I'm visualizing. I actually can't help it. It's something that comes really naturally to me in terms of uh, when we're kind of when I'm talking, I'll be bringing a lot of diagrams and visual tools to really help understand the world. A lot of people actually do think in a very similar way, particularly people who are on the like neurodiverse scale. So for people with like dyslexia, it can be really common to be a visual thinker, but also other diversities such as autism and ADHD, all really useful. For me, I've got dyslexia, and so actually, where words can kind of be harder to come by sometimes, visuals are the way that I tend to operate in the world. How it can really help leaders is that they can bring those visual tools in, and it just helps to create more inclusive workplaces. So yeah, expect definitely lots of visuals from my talk. The Doodle Witch just cannot help but bring those.
Where delegates are really excited to actually see your session, to see some of those visual cues. I certainly know that's the best way that I learn is through visual means like that. You kind of touched upon it in your previous answer, but bringing this again around to your session around empowerment and around leaders, if we consider visual thinking and learning, how can that help leaders become kind of better mentors, better managers for their teams?
Yeah, so I think I did. I think I did touch on it in the last answer. It's using visual thinking helps us to create more inclusive workplaces. Um, and it's not just kind of reaching those people with neurodiversities. That's great if we're also including them in the conversation, because they've often got really interesting and different perspectives to bring into the conversation. So obviously that's a must. But it also just helps everybody to actually sort through their thinking. And so, by doing really simple things like maybe bringing a canvas to a team meeting and allowing people to collaborate in ways that allow people to sort information, maybe use some color coding, use some grouping, use a metaphor, for example, you actually help shape the team's thinking, and it just actually helps people collaborate better. It's also massively amazing for learning. So, how I discovered my visual thinking powers was I started by sketchnoting. And I started sketchnoting in a conference called Agile in the Beach. And every single talk that I went to, I created a sketchnote for. So, if you don't know what sketchnoting is, it's basically note taking, but you're collecting the information in ways that are visual, and you're maybe adding a few kind of drawings to that as well. What that did for me, by going through that process, I retained probably about 90% of the information into my long term memory. Whereas previously, I would have maybe taken away 20 or 30% of it. And I just found it incredible, because afterwards, just the amount of information that I was able to recall just blew my mind. So that is another way that I think also leaders can empower themselves as well, is by being able to kind of take a bit of a creative way to their like learning, or to share that with their teams. Actually, you create like a much more information rich and knowledge rich environment.
Brilliant. Thank you. That's a great answer. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Gemma. You can join Gemma's keynote session in person at Networkshop 2024. For more information, go to jisc.ac.uk/networkshop for more details.